let's go ahead. I went and inked everything off camera. So I want to mat the back of my page first. Let me show you. So like I said, you don't really have to go all the way down, totally up to you. But I just wanted to keep it uniform and make sure nothing shows on the sides or anywhere I don't want it to show. And I did already check to make sure my page was not upside down. So do make sure your pages are going the right direction. And then we can go ahead and on the back of, I keep saying the back, on the page 3. No, it is the back of page 2. Back of page 2 is our flat fold pockets, and you're really going to love making these flat fold pockets. We need 2 pieces of cardstock. They need to be exactly 8 inches, or I did take mine down just a hair under, and I think I need to do that again because I want it to be exactly the same size as my page. You want it to not hang over the edges. So if you have to, I am going to just take a tiny bit off of the edge. Not even really enough to show you because it was that tiny of an amount. Do both of your pieces. They are going to be the same size. And if you hesitate making pockets, and I have gotten some comments on this. Pockets, even to me, to be honest with you, they serve a purpose, but they're an absolute pain. So I'm going to show you a new way, and I'll be showing different sizes. This is called my lay flat pocket. So when you put it in at the 11-inch side, you want to score it 4 inches, and you want to score it 9 inches. Now, one thing also about this is you have a nice edge on your top pocket. I'll show you what I mean by that. So we're going to first score, or we're going to burnish that first score line at 4. And then we're going to burnish the bottom. And with this pocket, we do mat first. I know you're thinking this is not a pocket. I promise you it is. It's not only a pocket, but you'll see what else we do with it. Then our 3.5 inch will sit here. And the beauty of this is you have a beautiful stacked pocket. You don't have to figure out or cut down or make those score lines work. To be honest with you, unless you're going to load these up with tons of pictures. And to be honest with you, on mini albums, we don't. We use them just for decorative purposes. I mean, I do fill mine with pictures, but you don't need those big pockets unless you're going to store cards or, you know, memorabilia like that. But we do want to mount this first because we have to mount the pieces in order for it to close up nice. So I already did cut down my paper, so we used the green, that beautiful green on this page. So I'll be using the trees, and then I'm going to also use this one. So I actually will use 3 of them. So I did cut these down straight down at 8 7/8. No, 7 7/8. So check it to see if you want to have it. Sorry, I just need to turn that down. Done. See if you need to cut it any shorter than 7 7/8. Looks good to me. And then we want to decide our layers. So there's going to be our first layer. My second layer will be the trees. And then I can do the third layer again with the flowers. Now we also need to mat our page. Oh, you know, we used trees on the first. But I wanted those to match. those two go together, and that's what I did. What I'm trying to do is just follow through, and that's what happened. Okay, we're at the goats. Sorry, we're at the goats. I'm going to do the goats and the yellow flowers since I already cut it. Goats, yellow flowers, and plaids will look really nice together. We'll bring our daisies back in. We can use the green too. But I do want to cut my goats. I'm going to cut it down to the 7 7/8. So I'm going to mat my page with the goats, and I'll cut it again at 7 7/8 for my matting piece. It does take just a hair more paper, but you do want to mat the whole page. Well, I do. You don't really, I'll be honest with you, you don't have to. Now this piece here should be our 4 inches. So we're going to cut the next one that you want to use at 3 7/8. I'll go with the plaid at 3 7/8. So this is what you're looking at. So my next piece is the 3 1/2, and that's going to be my floral. So I'll cut this down to 3 3/8. Oh, actually. And then we'll have our last piece. This is always the hardest part, is the decorating. I could go through and make all these albums just with you guys, with all the basic, just building, you know, construction and then decorating. That's why it takes me just a little while. So now I'm going to put the daisies here, I decided. And this little piece down here is only 2 inches. So I'll cut my daisies at 1 7/8. And just so you know, at the picking up of recording this, you won't hear it in the beginning. Of course, school is out now, so you're going to hear some, you might hear some background noise. We have grandkids here during the summer. And it really does look like I cut that crooked. I sure did. Either that or my Fiskars. And there goes the jets. So let's try this again. Use my Fiskars for the little cuts. Much better. Save that for something else. Okay, so there's my pieces and parts. Let's go ahead and let's ink those edges. I'll change back to the chocolate. I was using the Adobe House on a different one. So my disc cleaner came on, I guess, while I was filming, and totally turned off the program. I didn't notice it, and I made the page. So I'm going to walk you through this. So the first thing you want to do is cut a piece of cardstock that's 5 1/2 by 8 for this flap. So we did this flap. It is luckily a very simple page. Then you're going to score on the 5 1/2 inch side. I scored it at 5 1/2 inch side at 1/2 of an inch, and I attached it here to the top. So when you open, you have a flap. Now these little flaps here on the side, and these are the cut aparts, and I did cut the cut aparts down a little bit so they were both exactly the same size. You'll just have to trim them. These little flaps are 4 by 3 1/2, and you want 2 of those. Then you're going to score on the 3.5 inch side at 1/2 of an inch down to fit your cut of parts. Then you just attach these two. I attached mine to the bottom of the page. And I matted using the back of the cuckoo clocks on the back here and then here. And I'm so sorry about this page. Luckily it's a easy, straightforward. And then I cut the matting out of the wood grain over here on this side. I didn't want any of the florals. These are not magnetic. Now your magnet is right here. What I did is I cut this piece, this frame, at 4.5 by 4.5. Then I did put the magnet in between here, the magnet on the back. I matched it there and then I attached it down to my page, so that'll be a frame. And that is how that one is constructed. And I'm really sorry about that. I don't know why. Either I hit a button or the CC cleaner looked down, it was running, and I must have done something. So that's that cute little page with our little cuckoo clocks and the mountain goat. So now we will go to the back page. If you have any questions, please just let me know. Like I said, this is 5.5 by 8 scored at 1/2 inch on the 5.5 inch side. 2 3.5 by 4 inch pieces scored on the 3.5 inch side at 1/2 of an inch. Now on to the back of page 3. For this one, I've already cut the mat at 8 7/8 by 7 7/8 square. Then I have the piece of acrylic that we do sell, the polka dot, at countrycraftcreations.com, and I cut it down already to just barely 8 by 8, but you're actually going to want to bring it in to the same size as your matting, so I need to cut it down to 7 7/8. And the whole idea of this is just to have the nice big photo mat with the acrylic on top. And when you lift the acrylic, you have a place here for a full-size picture or mini pictures or, gosh, anything you want. I've even, used it for brochures and things, or the pictures off of brochures from vacations. So a full page is always nice to have, but it also gives it added interest. Look at that with the polka dots on top. So I really like that. Let me show you how to use your acrylic. I'm going to put it in the cutter at 7.5. Oh, it's 7 7/8 by 7.5. Tongue twister there. We want to score this. I'm going to score this at the 1/2 of an inch, just like you normally would paper. I am pushing just a hair harder. I turn it over and I'm going to score it again. This time not quite so hard, but still you want to press down so that you get a nice flat fold over. The whole thing with acrylic is you have to score both sides. And then we are going to have to use our score tape. So I want to still miter these corners using it just like I would use the paper. Then with my score tape, I'm going to use the 3/8 of an inch. And I know I have a roll in here. This one I will square that off. Putting it a little more towards the top. Oh, I am going to use score tape again when we're putting our matting down. And again, we'll just make sure everything's down tight. As long as you use your score tape, it's tight. So I want to make sure my page is the right direction. Move the backing to the score tape. Oops, and you're going to have that little bit on each side. Wow, it's really going to grab, so keep your fingers there till you're ready to let loose. we'll be able to score that again. But on the mat, this is going to be my matting. So at the top where that score, or where the acrylic is, I'm going to use score tape, and then I'll use my art glitter glue like normal for the rest of my paper. And I'm going to add the score tape down last. I want to make sure everything else is lined up before I do, because once your score tape's down, it's basically down. Then when we bring our acrylic back over, you just want to go across it again with your bone folder. Yeah. There we go. Right, put a little more pressure. And it's really awesome. I think it adds a lot of interest, especially when you, let me show you when you put a picture back there. And on this one, you can actually put more than one picture, because our albums are 8x8. So I would just slip my pictures back there. Actually, I'd probably put 2 pictures, so you can even put photo mats if you like. But see how it kind of really adds to Wilbur. 2 of them. So there's that page, and you don't have to worry about, you know, it's not going to go anywhere when you turn your pages. It's pretty heavy, so you don't have to worry about how am I going to hold this down, and you really don't want to hold it down. You want it to be somewhat free moving. Okay, let's grab page 4. And we're just moving right along. I'm going back, just making sure everything is recording like it's supposed to. Okay. So at the front of page 4, we're going to have the 2 like gatefold extended, these thingies, accordions. And for those 2 to put on here, and I'll tell you about the matting after, because we'll mat this after we put them down. So you want 2 pieces that are 11 3/4 by, I did mine at 7, and I will be using a corner rounder punch. So we want to score at 3 7/8, and to get this exactly, I just turn it around to 3 7/8 again, or you can do 7 7/8, whichever you prefer. So 3 7/8, or the 7 7/8. Now one is going to open this way, and one will open that way. So that's just the one thing to remember. And when you're folding these, I have tape stuck. Of course, we want to make sure we get everything lined up and even, perfectly even, as a matter of fact. And then this is going to go back. Okay. Now this is where you'll notice your score line will be just a hair off, and it's because we went 11 3/4. So I'm just going to like re-establish that score line. The reason being, I needed to cut these down to fit perfectly inside of the book. And so, see, it's not quite, they didn't quite fall. They fell like on in between, which would have been a 16th. So that's why you're just going to kind of force that score line to go on the opposite direction where you want it to go. Then I'm going to just re-score these the opposite way, because I need it to open this way. And using my crocodile, now if you don't have one, or maybe you can't go through all layers, sometimes I just do the single and then the double, because you get a lot nicer. I still could go through all of them, the layers, but it is kind of, sometimes I get a jagged edge when you go through this many layers of cardstock. So just do it this way. And our last one. Now this one we'll do the same thing for. Lining it up. And then again, you're going to just pull that over in just a second. I'll show you. Just like kind of horse scooting over your score line. See if I can just go through all layers. Very good. Oh, see, sometimes it does that because we didn't quite have it all even. That's what's nice about the Crop-A-Dile. You can always go back and correct any areas you need to. Okay. So one will sit on that edge and one will sit on that edge. Now here's the thing with these guys. We are going to mat the back. So it's totally up to you. We don't have a hinge. You could make a hinge. I adhere this piece down to my book. I prefer it. It means, yes, you lose the back space. And then we just have these instead. So if you want to be able to lift it up, then you'll make a hinge that sits on the back here if you want these to come up like so. A couple of issues with the reason I didn't do it that way is the magnet. Then you got to figure out how to get all of these layers really to hold down. That's why. So kind of just however you want to do it. So we're going to mat. I'm going to mat the back of here using, or actually we could use the Spectrum cardstock that I have if it was big enough, and it's not. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the plaid, and I'll cut my mat down. And really, you don't have to have this full amount, you know, every single time for a picture, unless you want to. So you could also, like I said, just put that 1/2 inch hinge. You'll just cut a strip of 1 inch paper, score it at 1/2 of an inch, and then attach it to the back here if you want to. So making sure I have an opening to the left and to the right, and to the right. Where's my pin? And I will mat the first one, of course, with the Meadows paper, and the insides I will be using coordinating, and I'll wait for my scraps. Spectrum paper, because they're definitely going to be used for photographs. So we have a 1/2 inch from the top and a 1/2 inch from the bottom. We cut this at 7 1/2. So my first one is going to attach here, and see that I will have the ability to, you know, still put a picture there where I was going to mat underneath it and I didn't want to lose this. That would be silly. So I'm just going to bring my ruler in and make a 1/2 inch at the top, like a 1/2 inch at the bottom, just so I know exactly where to put this. And I am going to add just adhesive to the whole back side. Bringing this right to the edge of the page, just a little on the other side of my matting. Oh, it's funny, the dog came down. She's ready to eat. She's like, Mom, stop recording and feed me. Those corners. Now the second one will open this way. Oh, I didn't do that. Yes, I did. I put it on backwards. So I'm going to change mine. Oh, wait. You know what? This is neither... Oh, it wouldn't matter if it... Well, we just changed our design a little bit. I was going to say... So now they are going to open this way and this way. That's okay. That's still pretty cool. Didn't mean to do that. So now I'll be able to line these two up. And then you'll have just a little bit of a space in between. And I just got done telling everybody out there in camera land to make sure one opens this way and one opened that way. And I totally messed it up. It's okay. Again, all the way to the edge of your matting there. What am I doing here? There we go. Okay, this is not difficult. Just lining it up on that edge for some reason. Should have left it the first time. There we go. Got it that time. Oops. So we'll need to throw things around here. Our magnets. First one there. Then I want it to attach there so it can attach down to the back, the base page, basically. Like that, or I'm filming, honey. Sorry. So we'll put this on now. Doesn't want to go down because it's grabbing that magnet. Which, there we go. pretty strong. Making sure you have plenty of room to hide it under your paper. So let me check that one. No, we're good. Okay. Again, I'll mat the front with probably that one. So we did use this on the front. I don't like to use if I used a ton of it. I hope that makes sense. We've used our trees, we've used our greens, so we've just about gone through every design now through our package. And we are back basically to the kids except the back side. Much too plain. So now you can cut your pieces at 6 7/8, and they're going to be 3 3/4. Like I said, I use the pattern paper for here, and inside I will just go through with the matching cardstock. So let me go ahead and cut 2 of these down to 6 7/8 by 3 3/4. Round our corners, and that was the small one. Then I'll ink the edges, and down those will go. Okay, then we'll do the back side. I'll go ahead and get these inked the mats on and feed the dogs, and we'll be back. The back of page 4, we're going to cut 4 squares, and we may have to alter them just a little bit, but they're going to be, I'm going to tell you this first, 4 1/2 by 4, but I want to show you something. On your cutter, if you have a 1/16 of an inch, that's hard to see on this one because it opens, but let me show you. So at this 2, see there's that 1/16 of an inch. It's in between the 3/4. Then you have the 7/8 and the 2. So you're basically gonna back up to about the 7/8. So just set your paper barely over like 3 7/8. Same with the 4 1/2. You're gonna cut it just shy because we want it to fit perfectly on that page, but in order to fit, it has to be short, of course. Hope that makes sense. Or you can trim it down. It won't matter. Now this piece is 10 inches, and again, I backed it up. So it is roughly 9 7/8. I went between the 9 7/8 and the 10, because I don't quite want it to be 10 inches by 8. The reason being is we want this to fit gatefold, and we don't want it to you know, hit on each other. So I'll be right back. Now that I'm back, okay, I gave you the wrong measurement, but I was looking out the window as my Wilbur, our beagle, is running around the backyard with my granddaughter's bra, so I had to go get it. And so let me just give you this measurement again. I told you 10. It's not. It's 9. And it's by 8. Now I backed it up from the 9. I cut it just short of 9. And then those 4 pieces that we cut it about 3 7/8 by, again, I went to 4 1/2. Then I backed it up in my cutter and trimmed it. So it's in between your 4 3/8 and 4 1/2, just hair short. So we want to start with this 9-inch piece. We're going to score it 1/2 inch on one side to make this into our gatefold. Turn it, because This isn't a true 9. Remember we cut it a hair short. But let's find our center just by folding that over and doing a little push at the top. And it still should come out 4.5. If it doesn't, just move it a hair on your scoreboard and go ahead and score that. That's so that we can get, you know, our true gatefold where we know it's not going to, where it's going to actually close. This is how I do it so that I do get that closure without overlapping. I'm going to put this in the cutter and move it a hair and cut one side, and then I just move it a hair in here because I want to get rid of that score line. You don't want. And that also, now your gatefold should fit perfectly on the page. Make sure we're not upside down. So when this one goes on, and it's Wilbur, the bra stealer. He just ran down the stairs. It's kind of on one tonight. Now see, I have that perfect seam right there. I'm going to grab my Deco corner punch. Give me it. Enough. Oh my goodness. Sorry. This puppy. Now let's do them separate. So I'm going to use my Deco edge on this one. Beginning to think he just is really wanting a lot of attention because he's underneath here now chewing up his bed. Okay. So now you'll see how these are going to fit on our gatefold. So the ones, whoops, where'd that music come from? Sorry. So we're actually going to bring these guys over here. Check the top and bottom. Okay, and then we'll get those put on and we'll score the edges. I punched my corners too soon. That was part of the problem, but it's okay because we'll just repunch them. Let me show you. So if you went ahead and punched yours, I hope you didn't. I went ahead and scored, and I'll score the rest of them on the 4.5 inch side at 1/2 inch because I had to make sure this was going to work. And it will. One thing you want to do is on this one corner, if you're doing a punch, so I need to punch that at Deco right there. Then I'll go ahead and bring that down because I need my hinge. See, this is our left side. It's going on a page. I need my hinge over here, and it's going to work. We're going to just we're going to be recutting that. But before I do, because I jumped the gun, I need to make sure when this is level with this edge that this isn't hanging over, and because it is, I need to trim a little bit off of that side, just a little bit. And then I will re-punch the corner. That's one thing about these kind of punches, you can redo them so easily. And I'm going to do this edge. I just want to make sure this is going to fit first. All four sides will have the Deco punch. This I should have done with this together. So let's go ahead and add our adhesive now. The dog just jumped on the counter. Okay, now that that's on, my edges are even. Now I can punch that and it matches. So next time I won't be so, well, I've already done the other side. So let's go ahead on our next one at 4.5. And let's score the last 3 pieces. And again, like I said, we may have to cut this down to fit. We'll measure it before we put it on. So I'll match first where my, yeah, just a little tiny bit has to come off. So on the left-hand side, they're going to open this way. And then on your right-hand side, I don't know, can you hear? You probably can hear the puppy over here. Chewing away. I need to have them facing each other. So these are going to open this way. And then these also open that. That way. So let's go ahead and score all of those. See, you should have that space right in between. I'll do 3 sides because we'll do that 4th side after we attach it. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut that off. Stuff flying around here, so we'll match that to the bottom. Empty that out. There we go. Same thing, these go to the outside, so we'll just go ahead and trim them both since I know they're going to need it. So this top one I won't punch until after. Oh, no. It's definitely one of those nights. So let me recut one more. Definitely one of those nights. definitely won't be using. Just have a feeling it's too, oh, it's not, okay. Sorry, it just got me off track, the dog. My brain waves thinking here. We're going to try this one more time. So, this is the corner I don't want to punch. You know, it's, there we go. Now I have that awful feeling that I'm going to cut the wrong, or punch the wrong end of that. So match it to the top and the edge. If I'm not talking, it's because I'm afraid to. Afraid I'll mess it up again. There we go. Now I'll need that for when we mat. Yay, I did it. It's that, oh my gosh, we did it feeling. So, we need to go ahead and miter these corners. Nope, it's never a quiet moment around here. Okay, we'll do this side. Now on this one, so that we don't use a ton of magnets, you're going to want to grab your cut aparts. And let me see something. We've already used the two 4x6s. That's the only thing about this one. So what I'm going to do is, see these really cute oh goodness, what are they called? Well, I don't know. They're just cute squares. But I'm going to keep this border because we need the width. So let's keep the blue border. And then let's go cut the bottom off. Now this can be, see, it's actually going to go across here because we don't have the cut apart. So we really don't want to cut in the center. So I'm going to choose 3. 1, 2, 3. You can choose whichever 3. Actually, they're the same. So, but if you wanted like 1, 2, 3, you would cut here. But I'm going to go ahead and go with the cuckoo clock. I'm going to cut between the 3rd. I have to find them in the camera for you. 3rd and 4th. We're going to treat that basically like a cut apart. And it's going to be what's going to hold our page down. And we do want a large magnet. But we need to measure this because we need a piece of cardstock that measures 2 7/8 by 4 3/4. So 2 7/8 by 4 3/4. I need that over here. Oh, almost. Don't you hate that when it's just an almost? Okay, but we do have plenty of scraps from when we cut our albums. Let me just do one more. 2 7/8. I'm going to go ahead and mat this now, and we will go ahead and do our matting on the page, and then so we can get our magnet placed down. And you want the large. So basically right here in the center. I'm going to bring this down just a little bit. There we go. Much better. So now we can go ahead and mat our pages, and here comes Wilbert. So to mat, if you want to double mat this, well, you need to. So I'm going to cut at 4 7/8 now, 3 by 4 7/8. a coordinating piece, and this one's right here, so let's go with this. So once again, it's going to be 4 7/8 by 3. A little too wide. There we go. Wilbur, get out of the box. Oh, he was so good earlier tonight. We'll put our adhesive on the back of this little cut apart. You know, it really makes me feel for the mothers who can't record because they have toddlers. I mean, I was there. I mean, we had 4 kids, but now I have Wilbur, who's 9 months old, and he might as well be a 9-month-old baby. And the back side looks nice. And then we have a really cool closure for right there. And then we can go ahead and mat. So on the inside, one thing I'm going to do, these will be scraps. So you'll be able to see through the walkthrough how I mat these, because I need to use all my scraps. But for sure, I'm going to mat the inside here with the wood grain. And I want to use the back side of the orange. So we have plenty that we'll be going back and using for our scraps when we mat our little folds. But for our gate folds, so this is going to be 3 7/8 by 7 7/8, but you're going to want to adjust it. Remember, we cut them a little bit short. So I'm going to go 3 7/8 at first, and let's see how well that fits. Let me go ahead and do my corners, because you have to do your corners the same. Let's see how well that fits. Oh, that fits really well. Okay, so I'll cut the second one. Again at 3 7/8. And we'll cut those corners. Let's check out the fit. Fits great. So we can go ahead and ink those and get those put down. Usually when you get to the back pages like this with the smaller elements, that's when I wait till everything's done and go through and mat with my leftover scraps. And to see kind of, you know, what we've already used in our album. So we don't want too much repeating. I don't like to repeat close together in pages. Like, if I've already used the green trees, I don't want to use it again on the next section without, like, you know, kind of skipping a page without using it again. Hope that makes sense. And then the cute little flaps, they'll kind of look like patchwork. So I'll cut my stripes down to 8, or 7 and 7/8 square. Sorry, I'm doing this off camera. My sponge is starting to flake. And it smears when you have a flaky sponge like that onto your page. Okay, for matting, that's as far as I'm going to go on this page until I get finished. Like I said, I don't want to, well, let's go through and see. Let's check our pages really quick. So we don't have a lot of close repeats. So we have, you definitely use the children and the wood, the green, then we use more of the green and the brown. I really like that one. That's our fourth. Oh, you know what we have not used a lot of? I'm thinking just for the inside here. So I'm going to go with the plaid and the stripes for the inside. So again, cut it 7 7/8 square, and 3 7/8. And they fit before, so they should fit this time. But I'll go ahead and let's do our corners and double check. Then that will just leave our little squares as we finish up and use our scraps. Perfect. We used our little goats. We only used a little tiny bit. Okay. We're doing well at using the paper then, without a lot of repeats.
One of them's lost.
So let's go ahead and ink our edges. So that flakes off on there. There we go. Those are really pretty colors, and I'll be honest with you, I see nothing wrong with using this for a baby album. These papers. fun friendship album, but I mean, it's based off of, the whole idea was kind of the Heidi theme from many years ago. So I think it'd be really nice baby album with a little different theme than just baby. Okay, then I'll finish those up and you'll see those in the walkthrough. So you'll just, again, cut your squares. I believe it's going to be just 3 7/8 square. Might be a little short, yeah. You might have 3 7/8 by 3 3/4. So there is page 4. Now for page, whoops, it goes this way, 5. We are going to do the waterfall. Basically, it is called, let me get my measurements that I redid it for. It's, you know, a slider waterfall. So I'm going to start with a 5-inch by 12-inch piece of paper. And I'm starting with, I just cut a 2.5-inch by 12. Set that aside. Then our waterfalls are going to be 4.5 by 5. So I'm going to show you how I make these. And I know there's a lot of ways and a lot of tutorials. See, this is the bigger version for a mini album. And there's a lot of ways that I think that's very difficult to figure this out. So I'm going to show you my way. My way is not always the right way, but I think my way is an easy way, and it avoids, in the future, how do you do this. So I want to show you. Waterfall. Determine how wide do you want your waterfall in your album. Now I've already determined I want mine to be 5 inches. We could have gone 6 inches. We can go 7 inches. It just depends on the size you want. And a good size to remember is 4.5 inches. So we're going 5 inches by 4.5 inches. So this band that creates the slider needs to be the width of your waterfall paper. I don't like to go smaller. I know I've seen some where they only do maybe a 2.5-inch strip. I don't like that. I don't think it's strong enough. So your slider band is going to be the width of your waterfalls. Ours are 4.5 by 5, and we need 5 of them. And this is what I do. I put this in my scoreboard. My waterfall is 5 inches by 4.5. So I need to score at 4.5. We may have to cut these down just a hair. 4.5 inches. I have 5 waterfalls. So I need 5 score lines. So we're going to score at 5. 5.5, there's 3. 6, 1, 2, 3, and 6.5. Oh, I had one completely, oh, here we go, scored so you can see. Five. We have 5 pages, 5 score lines. That was pretty hard to see, I realize that. We don't score our waterfalls. This is the only thing we score. And we need 5 score lines. Now we're going to burnish our score lines. Let's go ahead and just fold them backwards just to get them. So we have the rolling effect. What we're looking for is the rolling effect. And it will come to when we get the pages on. Now, you'll notice one is longer than the other. This one is the width of our waterfall. Okay, so this is how your waterfall is going to sit. Your first one's going to sit here, the next one there, 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 and there. Oh, summertime. All these interruptions. My brain of thinking, my way, okay, I told you 5. We need 4. Okay, everybody is hopefully now settled and quiet. So our first one is going to go at this first half. So you'll have your glue right inside of that 1/2 inch. Your waterfall will fit side to side. You just want to attach right there. Second one, adhesive goes right inside that score line. And our next waterfall sits inside. And these can be, you can mat these first. I'm going to mat mine after. Keeping them even side to side. Now, one thing you'll notice because of the length we went, this is shorter, so there's not, see, a tab to pull on because I wanted the full length of this. And this gave us that 5th looking waterfall, but this isn't long enough here, so you can add a piece on. And that's where this last one comes into play. We are going to use it as our extender piece. So you want to just lay this down. And it's not a waterfall piece per se. It looks like it though, but it's going to be what you're going to use to pull this waterfall. And that's what that 5th one is for. So if you use clothespins, this is kind of a good handy place for them. And I did this probably about 1/8 of an inch longer. And I'm just going to add my clothespins down here because I'll show you why. We're going to turn this over. Now I can pull this back. Put my adhesive there. And that's where I want it to be. So it's now extended this back piece because 12 just isn't long enough. Perfect. So now when this is down, we'll have our waterfall. Now, did I really just do that? I really just did. And on camera too, which is okay. Oh, you can tell I'm off tonight due to all the interruptions. I mean, I don't want to quit. I want to keep doing this. I love this album. So let's go ahead and just cut that off if you've done what I've done. No harm done, really. And no one's going to see that. And I just want to make sure. There we go. There, I wanted to get enough glue underneath there. You won't. Nobody will know that's there. because it's actually going to be adhered down. But we do need that extender piece. So I'm going to cut another piece of cardstock at 5 inches. This one is only 4 inches long because that's what I have. Now let me do this correctly. This is the back side where it's short. There we go. We need to make it long enough to be our pole. Lift it up from this edge, and it's on the correct side. Okay, there we go. Now see this last waterfall? This is where you need a piece. Like I said, this is 2.5. Now we need this last one right here. Just wrapping it to the back because that's what's going to hold this down. See, basically it slides. So this last waterfall that is now doubled, I'm setting this on the inside there and bringing these two to the back. I'm just cutting this out because you don't need it. They don't have to be even. That's what's going to get attached down into the book. And this way you don't have, you know how you see some and there's pieces sticking out that you can see across your page? And if you want that, that's okay. But I didn't want that. So what we're going to do is now cover this piece. And I will go ahead with the, oh, where'd they go? With our cute ones. Our goats. So I'm going to cut my mat 7 7/8 square. Making sure our openings are on the correct side. Then we really want to just work this page really until it's dry. Because we don't want to put this down and then start pulling on it. Sure I have it going in the right directions, and that's the one thing I want to show you too. So let's just keep working that. Okay, while that's doing its thing, so this is going to end up giving us 1, 2, 3, 4 fronts. This back piece we're going to add adhesive right to there. So lift up your 4. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to set that in there all the way to the top. Pull that over so it's nice and flush. Now these need to go to the back here. Now when we go to pull out our page, see this will have a seam right here, but you'll be able to mat this so that you can use all one piece. Now that was the other thing I wanted to show you. So here's the page. You may not want it to come up in vertical. You may want it to go horizontal, and you can. Well, we need to get it down. So you just need to decide, do you want it up and down or do you want it sideways? Now on this album I wanted it to go sideways. So what we want to do is we cut these two because we don't need them to overlap. We don't want them to overlap basically. If you have them overlapping, I think it gets in the way. And really the less you see, I like these to be more hidden. And you don't want to get in the way of the slider at all. So we're going to turn this over. Okay. You really can't get down in the back now. So this one, as our pole, and it takes a few times. Well, and we don't really want that one to go. And it will loosen up. Now this one, see, that isn't going to go because that's my boo-boo. Oh, I know why it's... Oh, some days. I wonder how I manage, huh? So you just want to keep playing with it. And then again, I will mat this. So basically, see, it's not going to go any further. Okay, so and it has to do with the way I messed that up, but it's okay. Now this is going to get a lot of use, this pole, so you might want to go ahead and add. I'd add more pieces than that to it. Goodness, it still just wants to stick there. And it's probably because I wrapped it too tight. So that's that waterfall. Let me show you what I did real quick before we start matting this. So this last one, remember this is that one. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And there's our fourth. And that's where, because I did my boo-boo, I went ahead and I just lifted this up and glued it. So I'm going to mat this whole thing to cover up my boo-boo here. It's where I did the extension. So that's what was causing the problem. So I glued this piece that was kind of flipping up down. And then we'll mat that so it'll look like one. And I'll show you. So let me go ahead and mat this back piece first. So now instead of the 4.5, I need a 4 7/8 by 4 7/8 of an inch piece. And let me go ahead, I will go ahead and cut sorry, I've got this weird program running. I'm going to go ahead and use the yellow. And I want to cut it at 4 7/8 by 4 7/8 so I can show you that piece. Such the beautiful thing with paper. And you, unless you were looking for it, you will see where I overlapped it, and it's no big deal or harm done. And this back one, I'm going to do the same thing to cover that extender. Now only you, me, and us here in the camera knows about that extender boo-boo. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 places for photos. Now I'm going to pull this out. I'll be able to slide one up in that's going to cover that. And again, it's 4 7/8. So let me see. I think I'll go 4 7/8 by 4 7/8 on that also. I'll just cut it from that other half. Using, I love this one, the bees as my pull down. And then I'm going to punch a hole. I'll do that here in a second. And we will put an eyelet in there. Put them this way. And if you want, you can mat the back side. In fact, I'm going to, I believe, yeah. Let me just go ahead and mat that. The reason for matting the back side, so when the page is turned, and I mean, you really won't see it, but it'll strengthen it, it'll look better, and it's going to cover, we have that piece where we put the extender on that also, and it's getting caught. I really think that's what's getting caught. Okay, so this is not upside down. And you'll see where you have that extension piece. Now we're going to cover that seam. It was bent up, and I noticed that's probably what the problem, some of the problem is. Okay. Now, this is 5 inches, so let's find our center, which is 2.5. And let's find our pencil that we lost. A good one. Just making sure when it closes it won't be too far in. So let's get our crocodile if you have one. And an violet. Finding the right color. Just go brass. Yay, I like it when it works the first time. And either a seam binding or a piece of ribbon or probably too big. Piece of lace, something that you want to put through there that go. We cut that seam binding. And this is our seam binding in moss. And now that will become the pole, which is great because people will notice it. And it's just that back one that I'm having issues. And I'm not sure where we're sticking on mine, but we're sticking. Okay. So I went to show you an easier way to do this. And I think I hope I didn't make it harder for you. But that is our waterfall, and then I'll go ahead and get everything else matted with my scraps. For the back is where we put the acrylic pocket. And I cut a piece of our acrylic at 5 by 9, and on the 5-inch side we're going to score it 1/2 inch. Now with this one we're going to do the same thing. We just want to score both sides at 1/2 inch. Then for a normal pocket, you want to score 1/2 inch. We'll turn this over in just a minute. We're going to score at 1/2 inch. And 1/2 inch again. Same spot, both ends. And also on this, remember, just treat this as if you were using paper. And I'm going to do the same thing if this was paper. And I want to check. So there's our waterfall. We turn this over and it's a side pocket. And it goes over here. And it fits side by side just fine. So I'm going to open up these sides. Now, on this one, we are going to put it down, and then we're going to mat just like we normally would by sliding our paper down in on top of this. I mean, we're not going to be sliding it in like normal on top of it, because trust me, you won't get your paper, how do I explain it? Because we were going to have score tape on here, and it's just going to be easier to wrap this. So cut your corners also just like paper, and then go ahead and cut let me get the piece I'm using, because I'm using that back side of the 3x4 cut aparts. I'm using this gorgeous green at 8 7/8 squares. Seven 7/8 square. Sorry, I keep saying that. I know. Okay, it's a side pocket. We also do not want, we don't want the score tape to show. So now I have fit it all the way around. And then you want to just kind of, there we go. Because it's going to show a little over, it's a little bit bigger than our matting. You know, it's like the exact size of the page. So you really can't even tell it's there. It's really pretty. .3/8 of an inch score tape. So we can go ahead, and to be honest with you, you don't have to do it the whole length. So I'm just going to put a piece of score tape there. Oh wait, yes we do. I changed that. We'll get through this. We're almost done. We're almost done. I think my brain's just worn thin. Okay. Go ahead and let's go ahead and just move this right now. If you ever have sat down and done a tutorial, then you can relate. You sit down, you're ready mentally, you're all there, you're going to do it, you want to get it done, and then you have interruptions. And then you have sidetracking. And you're like, oh, I've just lost my train of thought this whole time. Okay. Ink our edges before we put it in our acrylic. Well, that's what's happened. So thank you for sticking with me, and I do apologize. Okay, remember, page is going this way, so the pocket's going on this side. I'm not going to attach anything until we fold our scores over and double check. Then holding your page, and let's remove the backing of the longest piece of score tape. And it's slippery, so your page might move a little bit. There's our pocket. Now I want to use score tape again, and for this I am just going to go ahead on these whole outer edges, and then I'll use my art glue in the center. And this is the best way, I think, to use your acrylic if you don't want your adhesive to show. It's going to show if you don't hide it. And this is the best way I know so that you don't see the adhesive. I mean, it's clear. There's not much you can do. It's time to fill the bottle. There we go. Page is the right direction. This page is the right direction. Keeping my fingers underneath until I'm ready to let go. Okay, now to go on top of here. So now we have this 4.5 inch base, but we want to take a 4 by 5 base. Excuse me, it's a 4 by 6 base. It's going to attach on top of the acrylic, and then we need to make a 4 inch. And hopefully, let's check our straps. We'll just go up. It's amazing how everything gets buried from here on out. Okay, then you want to cut another 4 inch by 5 inch to it. Then on the 5 inch side, go ahead and score at 1/2 of an inch. Okay, we're just going to attach one to the top and one to the bottom. And you can actually attach them behind if you like. Trim this in my trimmer. And whoops, I'll need another piece of my, you can use ribbon if you want a magnet. I'm going to use another piece of the green because I think it looks really good. But we do want to put it, if you're going to use it for your tie closure, on this. Score tape. Now this is just for the ribbon, and I'm not going to cut it yet because then we are going to adhere this piece down. I don't have my score tape sheets handy, or I'd use those. So now I'm just going to Go over the top. Trust me, score tape works really well on acrylic. One thing I want to do is I am going to put a piece across, but let's go ahead and take the backing off here. Just hold down the ribbon. Even more secure. Oh my goodness, super, super sticky. Yeah, we can center it. It is a little difficult to see. So if you need to put something back there that's even more of a contrast, just going to center it. Just trying to decide. Because once I cut it, that's where it has to be tied. And then these were, remember when we made these? So I made some extras. And I made 2 extra, where'd it go? To go inside of here. Okay, well it's buried, it's here. But I do have 2 of those. And those are, that's what's going to go, there we go, inside of my acrylic. Extra booklets. I made these when I was figuring out the sizes. So, or you can just use one, but it will definitely, it adds more room. So if you only want to use one, you can just slide it down in, or you can make just a tag to go inside there. And now let's kind of look and see what we've got. So we have page 1. And again, we want to grab the sides. My fingers just aren't working. So we have that little bit of a flip going on there. And then we have that cute area to put your photos on with a pocket. Again, you have your flat pockets. This is the one I kind of messed up on. We weren't recording. Then we have our acrylic polka dot flap. Now this is the one where I did the other one. I was making it for size. And then I really love this one. So lots of interaction Lots of fun experiences as always when we make albums. We just never know what's going to happen to it, but that's working better now that that is dry. Perfect. And then this one's got to be one of my favorites. So I love the acrylic pockets. Okay, that is our page construction, and we will come back and build our hinges and our album cover.